That was the trailer for the 1954 horror movie classic The Creature from the Black Lagoon, starring our guest today, Julie Adams, who I'm sure you know from her many television and film roles. She has a brand new autobiography out, which she worked on with her son Mitch, who's also on the line joining us today. And Miss Adams, we'll get to The Creature from the Black Lagoon in just a moment, but I'm very much aware that I'm speaking to a Golden Boot recipient. And you've appeared in so many Westerns at the very beginning of your career, and I have to ask, and this is what everyone asks, any mishaps on a horse?
Well, there was one that I wrote about in my book, A Lucky Southern Star, Reflections from the Black Lagoon. It was in a film called Wings of the Hawk, in which I co-starred with Van Heflin. We were shooting a scene at Corrigan's Ranch in Simi Valley, chase on horseback. And my character, I was playing a Mexican bandit girl, typecasting. And her name was Rachel Noriega. And I was galloping alongside a wagon team led by Van Heflin's character, Irish Gallagher. The wagon team veers off to the left, and I was supposed to pull up in front of the camera, fire 2 shots at the bad guys, and then gallop off.
Right.
Well, I had trouble getting my gun out of the holster, and when I did, I managed to get 1 shot up into the air, and another one went into the ground. Just when I was thinking, oh, no, we're going to have to do all of this over again, my horse was hit from behind by one of the bad guys' horses. I was knocked clean out of the saddle onto the ground, and I remember landing hard and hearing the thundering of hooves and seeing nothing but a cloud of dust. I learned later that 3 horses had gone over me but never touched me.
Oh, wow.
Wow, yeah. When the crew rushed up to see if I was okay, I could tell by the looks on their faces they thought I was dead or seriously injured.
Oh, no.
Miraculously, I survived the whole ordeal without so much as a scratch.
Oh, well, that's good.
And our stunt coordinator, Davy Sharp, said to me, you did good, kid. You tucked when you fell.
It's not going to be any picnic, just remember that. Make sure of every move you make. If you follow these plans exactly, well, we may connect, who knows? There's a patch of trees down at the bottom of that slope. Make a good cover for you.
Something bothering you?
No.
You sound worried.
Do me a favor, please. Don't press your luck, huh?
I later learned that the 3 stuntmen playing the bad guys had bet each other $1 which one could get to the camera first. I didn't think it was as funny as they did.
Right, I can imagine.
I was very lucky that day.
Yeah. Can you tell us something about some of your more famous co-stars like Joel McCrea or Jimmy Stewart?
Well, Joel was a genuinely nice man, like the good guys, and he played on the screen in movies like Sullivan's Travels and Ride the High Country. He was also a family man through and through and loved talking about his lovely wife, Frances D., and their children. I had a closer relationship with Jimmy Stewart, who was just as wonderful in person as he was on the screen. I remember a time back in the 50s, and we were shooting a scene at twilight in Bend of the River. It was a nice little scene between us. I was in a wagon, and his character, Glenn McClintock, stopped by to check up on me. I remember playing this scene with him vividly. When they were shooting his close-up, his performance was so subtle and nuanced, I thought, he's not, quote, doing anything, but everything is there. I thought, that's what I want to have, what he has.
How's your father feeling?
Oh, he's asleep. Glenn, he still doesn't trust Cole. It's an old-fashioned idea of his. He believes that once a man has gone wrong, that's the end of it.
You don't agree?
No. Any man can make a mistake. He can make lots of mistakes. But when he meets a woman and falls in love with her...
I see what you mean.
And you do believe it, that men can change. Some men.
Yes, I believe in it. I told it to Jeremy.
course, you appeared with him on his television program in the 70s, and you acted in quite a number of TV shows, actually, throughout your career, like Playhouse 90 and Perry Mason and The Rifleman, The Andy Griffith Show. Yeah, and even CSI a couple of years ago. How is it different working in television or making films, or are they similar?
Well, the thing I enjoyed most about television was the fast-paced energy of it. I worked a lot in television over the years, and I played guest parts in a number of popular programs. It was fun playing different characters from one week to the next. I was never a regular in a long-running primetime show, so I got to play a variety of interesting women on the small screen. Sometimes in film, I would work on a picture for several months and only shoot a few pages a day.
Right.
In television, sometimes we would shoot 10 pages a day, so the work would be so much more intense. On Murder, She Wrote, I had a recurring role as the lively realtor Eve Simpson, and she was great fun. Like most actors and actresses, I was always happy to be working.
Yeah, and that's steady income getting all that television work.
Doesn't hurt, no.
Well, your most famous co-star, I mentioned Joel McCrea and Jimmy Stewart, but we have to talk about the last great Universal monster, the Gill Man. How did you get the part of Kay in Creature from the Black Lagoon, and were you hesitant about appearing in a horror movie?
Well, actually, the part was assigned to me. I was under contract to the studio at the time, and Creature was the next film they had me slated for. And yes, I was a little bit hesitant at first when I got the script. I remember thinking, the Creature from the what? What is this? But then I thought, if I turn it down, I won't get paid. They'll put me on suspension. So I said, well, what the hey, it might be fun. And indeed it was.
Hurry, Dave.
I've almost got it. Hey! He got it! He got it! No, don't shoot! Don't shoot! But you might hit Kay.
I developed longtime friendships with both men who portrayed the creature. Ben Chapman played the creature on land, and Riku Browning, who portrayed the creature underwater. One of my fondest memories of working on the movie was greeting Ben Chapman in his creature suit at the beginning of the day with a gentle pat on his rubber cheek and saying, "Good morning, Beastie." In fact, the whole film had a group of tip-top professionals involved, led by our magnificent director, Jack Arnold. So in the end, it turned out to be one of my very favorite film experiences.
Well, it seems to be a lot of people's favorite film experience. No one could have predicted that this movie, Creature from the Black Lagoon, would go on to be a classic of the genre and still have this enormous fan community that's devoted to it. Why do you think this film has endured?
It's a darn good movie. A good script by Harry Essex and Arthur Ross is engaging. Jack Arnold did a wonderful job. He made every shot unique and interesting. Our ensemble cast made a fantastic story believable. The music accentuates the suspense. Wonderful music.
Oh, sure.
Every moment. And the design and construction of the creature is amazing. They designed the creature and made it right there. Mm-hmm. Wow. And the Gill Man is frightening and strangely sympathetic at the same time. My favorite scene is the underwater ballet scene between my character Kay and the creature. It's also the only Universal classic monster movie that was shot in 3D. And these days, grandparents screen it for their grandkids. So now we have multiple generations of fans. I even met a little girl who was named Kay after my character in the film.
Wow.
Though I was hesitant at first to take a dip in the Black Lagoon, it has become a wonderful experience that continues to this day.
Well, we talked earlier about some of your other movies, but you're so closely associated with this film. How do you feel about that?
It's very pleasing to be a part of something that has entertained so many people for so long.
Yeah. And I realize that we're only brushing the surface of so many events in your career, and we only have a little bit of time, but luckily our listeners can read more about what we've been discussing today in your recent autobiography, That Lucky Southern Star. I should say The Lucky Southern Star. How did this book project come about?
Well, people had asked me about a memoir for many years, and so in 2009 I decided it was time to sit down and write one. My son Mitch, an Emmy-winning film editor, helped me with the writing process.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote a lot of it out in longhand, and then he would type it into the computer. We also gathered hundreds of pictures from my life and career and sprinkled them throughout the book. One of the things fans love about it is that many of the stories have a behind-the-scenes picture from the film or television episode that they're reading about. Mitch and I go to a lot of movie and horror conventions together, so we had a pretty good idea of the stories that fans like to hear. We just got back from Little Rock, Arkansas, where I grew up. I look forward to seeing a lot more wonderful people when I travel to San Jose on August 17th for the San Jose Super Toy and Collectible Show. For those listeners who are unable to meet me in person at the show, the book is available on my website at www.julieadams.biz.
That is true. In fact, I just brought it up on the computer screen here, and the first thing I see is you in a bathing suit is the first thing I see here.
Oh, yes, that white bathing suit has become rather famous. Rosemary Odell in wardrobe at Universal designed it, and they made it right there at the studio, and it's become very popular.
Yeah, well, it's an iconic photo. I want to thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us today on the program. It's just a delight to speak with you. And I know, I mentioned to our audience that your son Mitch was also on board. And I wonder if either of you, before we go, can give us an update on the audiobook, if that is indeed happening or if that's coming out.
Yes, I can. The audiobook is available at www.julieadams.biz. It was read just about entirely by Mom. I read the prologue and the epilogue and the acknowledgments, but we've had a number of people that just have the print book and loved it so much and went ahead and bought the audiobook because they wanted to hear her read it because of the personal charm, I think, that is in the book that really even resonates more when you hear her read it to you.
Well, that's fantastic. Thanks again, and thanks, Mitch, for setting this up. And Miss Adams, you have a wonderful day.
And thank you.